Um, Dua bhi, Vinod bhi. Now that Vinod is no more, let us see if that's true. Vinod Dua was no ordinary person. He was a phenomenon. I saw him grow into one. From his house in Hakikat Nagar next to the Najafgarh Nala to a person recognized by millions as an icon, not of humility but honor. He never wore his humble beginnings on his sleeve like most who carry it like a badge. He instead flaunted his diamond studs as an achievement of a Hindi journalist. He was proud of the fact that he was one of the first journalists who made enough from his earnings as a non-English media person to buy a Mercedes. That Mercedes was quite a transformation from the iconic orange scooter that he famously rode as a student in Delhi University. The fuel for that scooter came from friends who were impressed by his audacious views and non-conformist behavior. His home was less than a stone's throw from choir hall or PG Men's Hostel, where he spent his formative years. The impression, however, he always gave was that nothing could form him. He described the untidiness in his room as artistic chaos as opposed to clerical precision. In fact, he delighted in telling us that he was selected in his audition for Doordarshan because of his unkempt hair, his crumpled shirt and dirty jeans that made him stand out against those in ties and jackets. The selectors were shocked at his unconventional approach and asked him, "आप क्या सोच के यहाँ आए हैं?" He stunned them further by saying, "मैं जब भी आपका कार्यक्रम देखता हूँ, मुझे लगता है कि इससे अच्छा तो मैं कर सकता हूँ." The dumbstruck panel decided to give him a chance. That was the birth of Vinod Dua in Yug Manch, which led him to the Sunday morning show Aapke Liye. I recall his programs on the ostentatious Indian wedding, he called it Juloos, and on rape in Yug Manch, which was a favorite of the Hindi-speaking audience, especially in the youth as opposed to youth forum that interested the English-speaking college students. With Aapke Liye, he was being recognized in ordinary homes as a guy who brought Sunday mornings alive. In fact, in 1981, we got evidence of his popularity when he came to meet me and my wife in the Mussoorie Academy without informing us. On learning that we had gone to Dehradun the previous day, he foolishly dared to come to Dehradun to find us without knowing our address. It was 21st March, the day of Holi, and he roamed around the city with no money in his pocket but determined to find us. The only clue he had was that Novel works in the State Bank and her husband is in the IAS. He thought this was enough to locate us, but all that he succeeded in doing was to attract attention in the streets with people applying gulal on him, offering tea and snacks and making an effort to even help him. It was only late in the evening when he gave up his search, went to a friend's father, a retired army man settled in Dehradun, who gave him a good bath and clothes to change into, that luck smiled on him. The army man knew someone in SBI who knew where my wife stayed, and Dua materialized before us around 10 in the night. That was Vinod Dua. He knew his mind. He knew where he had to go and found ways to get there. His program Janmani was yet another example. He dared to speak his mind to Rajiv Gandhi, who on becoming Prime Minister started hosting get-togethers for eminent public figures. He got invited to one such breakfast for media persons, and on being asked by the PM why he was not seen on Doordarshan, he had no program after Aapke Liye speech. He pointed to the INB minister and said, "Ask him." The result was Janmani, which was a trendsetter. Who doesn't remember the embarrassment of the telecommunications minister who was asked by Vinod to dial a number of Chandni Chowk, and he kept dialing in pain before an amused audience. Dua could dare to do this because he never pursued any agenda. His daring remained his strength till the end, as he took on almost everyone who he thought was intellectually dishonest. His own honesty was the result of his deep ruminations and his vast readings. He hardly studied for passing an examination or earning a degree, although in the end he managed to earn one, including an honorary doctorate. Vinod Dua was in Hansraj College, and I had shifted from Deshbandhu to Hindu College in North Campus, where postgraduate classes for all classes were held in the English departments and in the art faculty. A few years after university, when we met, he once introduced me by saying, "Ashok and I studied together in MA." I immediately corrected him. I studied. Vinod was with me in MA. Truly, he was above and beyond the humdrum process called studies. He was a master of life. We studied for masters in literature, and yet I can say without hesitation that he knew and understood literature much better than most. It was seeped in his personality. Few had mastered Bernard Shaw as he did, and very few had the ability to call passages from Hindi, English, Urdu poetry as Vinod could at most appropriate time. Whereas most of us read books to pass an exam leading to a degree, he used his knowledge to broaden his perspective and draw upon it as a hidden treasure. I could write a book on the way I knew him, but I hardly knew that when my wife and I had lunch with him on the 2nd of July after his unending bout with COVID. He was already unwittingly writing the last chapter of his life. He had lost Chinna, who had disappeared from his life on 11th of June this year, and abruptly and dramatically, as she came into his life in 1983, when they were getting married. I don't think that Vinod was lost without her or shattered by her going. His grip on life was far too strong, but not his grip on his own body. That was deserting him the way the system had abandoned him. Although he won his battle against the latter and had the grit to go on, his organs kept creating a disharmony in his body that no one could control. When I met him on 2nd August and chatted at length, he was full of ideas for the future and felt that he looked cuter than before. That situation was rapidly altering because when I spent a few hours with him on the 24th of October in Apollo, he was in pain but still talking about the marathon process of recovery. I didn't know that he was approaching the finish line soon. I last saw him on the 29th of November in Padmanabh Hospital. He was unconscious, his eyes were open but he could not see. He was continuously waving his hand as if he was saying bye and occasionally rubbing his forehead as if erasing the last lines of his life. I left India on 4th early morning and in a few hours he left for his final destination. But as during MA, he shall be forever with us. Who says Vinod Dua is no more? He was a rebel without a cause whom all adored but few could emulate. He was his own man till his last day, unique and brilliant. As in life, so in death, he has left everyone behind.